Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the stream. Today we are carrying on from last night when we had our drones spawning. I shall show you in a second. So, in this example, we have 4 spawned, and that is because I have done 2 sets of research, but we're going to have to do it again because we need to work out how we tell our system to spawn drones and when to spawn them, right? So from that point of view, let's dive in, shall we? So first thing is, we're not going to look at base building, except we are. So we're going to keep it there, but we're not going to look at that first. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to look at our controller, because it is the controller that determines when we have finished some research. Okay, so what we do is we're coming in here and we're checking if research is complete, right? And if it is complete, we are setting or rather, the first thing is we are showing our widget here, and then we are basically saving the fact that it's been complete here. Then we are getting our out row right, and here we have our probe. Okay, so in actual fact this isn't going to be as difficult as it seems, because the probes are basically in our player base. Now we actually may end up renaming our player base to, you know, a drone thing. So in any case, basically what we do here is we get all actors class, right, and we're going to be saying BP player base. We're only ever probably going to have one of these, but we'll just do the for loop anyway, right? So basically we shall say for each loop. Okay, and we shall basically be doing the same thing here, and we're probably going to have to do the event for this. So what we're actually doing here is we're calling an interface, right, and we can basically plug this in here. I will probably end up tidying this up and doing this in a slightly different way, but the logic will be the same. It's just a matter of the fact that I might put it into a switch or something and then like change it about a bit to make it a bit more tidy, because we've still got metal works to do and any others, right? And once we've completed this, then we basically go to here. Okay. So if we save that, right? And now what we can do is we can go to our BP. It's not the base building, it's going to be the player base, right? So we can look at our player base. Here it is. And what we can do here is we can say event apply research rewards. Okay. And now what we can do is, if we get our controller, then we get our game instance. Okay. And then we get research. Okay. Then we do for each. So we're going to cycle through all our research. Now the important thing here is this research level. Okay. But we're going to deal with that in a second. Now, the funny thing is that we kind of have some of the code for this in the player base. So what we can actually do is do this. So in actual fact, all of that code is there, right? So if we go back to our event graph, we actually don't need to do this at all, right? What we actually do is just say drones, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to get all actors of class, and it's going to be our drone. Okay. And then what we want here is the length. Okay, and this is where the logic starts. So we know how many we've got, and we know how many we want. Okay, so if we've got 1 and this says 2, then we need a number to spawn. Okay, so I think what I'll do here is I'll write this into a function, but we'll start on the basic logic first. Right, so In fact, to be quite honest, we shall say spawn additional drones. Okay, and that is going to be drones to add. And we shall also need current drones. Okay, and these are both going to be integers. And this part here is just so I know where and when, or sorry, where to actually spawn these two. Okay. So we're going to save that for now. We're going to go back to our event graph, and then we're going to spawn additional drones. Might swap these around actually, but we'll see. So the current number of drones is this. Right? And the drones to add is this minus this. That's rubbish. It's this minus this. Okay. And what we'll do is tidy this up a bit. And it's going to go to there. Then we're going to drop that down there. Okay. So we know how many drones we've got, and we know how many drones we need to add. Okay. So our starting position can basically be this. Okay, for when we add it, because we're going to have to assign it a landing pad. Okay. So we'll save that for now. We'll go into here. And what we're going to do is we're going to end up spawn actor from class. Right? And it's going to be drone. And we're going to be doing some calculations here. Now, there is an interesting thing. We won't definitely not be going straight in there. So what we'll be doing here is a for loop, which I'm going to have to calculate out what we're doing here. And we're going to be doing basically this to this. Okay. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to be just doing 0 to this. And we're going to start it at 1. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this for when we actually spawn them, right? And it's going to be in here, right? You can see here that we're spawning stuff. And we're doing that, right? So what we could actually do here is copy this, right? And we can pop it in here. Right, now the landing pad, let's say we start at 1, okay? So we're starting with 1 drone, and our first piece of research gives us 2 drones, right? So basically our index is going to be that. In theory, right? We're going to have to test this obviously, but I think that should actually work. But then again, when I think about it for a second, it won't, right? What it's going to have to be is the current drones minus 1 plus this index. Right? And that's because it can't be just the index and it can't be just the current drones. But say we're at level 2, right? At level 2 we have 2 drones, right? And say we upgrade again, that's going to give us 4 drones, right? So we need to start basically at index 3. Right? So even this isn't right. Okay? So is it right? Let me think about this. I'll move this along a bit. So let's say we've got 2 drones, right? And we upgrade. Let's try run this. So we've got 2 drones, we're upgrading to 4, right? So what we want is the landing pads to be 2 and 3, okay? So we come in here, our current drones is 2, right? And our drones to add is going to be 2, right? So it's going to index there, right? So this is going to be 2, it's going to be minus 1, then it's going to be 2, and then the next time it's going to add another one, which is going to be 3, So yeah, that actually does work. So for that point of view, we're gonna, I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll stop this just now, right? And we shall clear out our save games just to be on the safe side here. Okay, which was a good idea because I already got one called saved and drone. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say new game and we're going to call it DR1. Right, and we'll basically get everything set up so that we can actually do. Right, now we need to do it as, there we go, I'll do it, perfect. Right, then we set up that, we set up that, we set up fabricator, then we set up our research. Okay, then we'll spin that round, spin that round, spin that round. And spin that round. Okay, now I'm going to check what this is. Bauxite, perfect. Right, I'm going to save that right there. Now, actually that kinda isn't, well, it might work. Right, but we have to set these up. Did I? Yep, I did set it there. And we're going to set up a research for probe. Okay. And now we're going to go and join these up. Okay. So that's that. And now we can start adding workers. And we're okay with that. And the thing to do here is actually to go back to our event graph, right? And basically add a breakpoint in here to make sure this is getting fired off. Right, and then we can speed it up. Okay, there's our first bit of research getting done, or at least going to the research station. There's our second, third. You can see we're going up nicely. Right, slow it down again, just so we see what's going on. Is this one away or something? Okay. So we're doing this. And we're going to step over. That should have returned 2, which it did, which is cool. So we step over that, and the current drones, that should not be actually that. Right, so in actual fact we need to stop that and do it again. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Right, let's just work our way through that. That would have been 2, okay? Current drones 2. Except that isn't the current drones. Okay? So we know that that's wrong. The current drones is this number here. Okay? So if we think about it, when you start off, this was going to be 1. So in actual fact, it's going to be that minus that. Or is it? Yeah, because this is the updated version, right? This is this is the one that we want, and this is what the number of drones we want. This is the number of drones we have. Okay. So yeah, this is now correct. So unfortunately, we have to do this again. But at least we'll take it a step further this time. Right, so we go probe. And we need it to change to 1. We are going to change the way this works, but for the moment we just have to go with what we've got. Right, there is a piece of code here that I could take out which would make it easier. To check this, which we might do after this. Right, but in the meantime, we'll just go with the flow for now. Right. Because hopefully we won't need to, because we've got it all perfectly correct. The only problem is, of course, that we need to do this again because that's a copper. But in the meantime, we can take the opportunity to join these up. Okay. not too sure what this actually is. We're going to have to wait till it becomes available to us. Okay, got bauxite. So we're in business. There we go. We'll start things rolling. Now we did set this to probe, didn't we? Yeah, we did. There's our first bit of research, our second, and our third, and fourth, and fifth, and sixth, seventh, eighth, yeah, should you, there we go. Okay, so if we step over this, so we want 2, okay, and we want to add 1, okay, and we've currently got 1. So if we step into this, this is going to be 1, that's going to be 1, and we step over, and that's kind of not right. But we've seen before that these numbers can be a little bit off-putting, although this should not be 0. If we think about it, right, this should be drones to add, and that's 1, right? And the current drones is 2. No, current drones is 1, which is right. This should be right. Right, I'm saying this is right. That those integers that are shown are a bit weird. Right, so if we come down, there we go. Right, we've got our 2 drones now. Right, so if we now go to research and go to do that one, and speed it up, and there we go. This is probe 2. So we step over. So we want 4, and we have 2, I believe. Yep. So that's 4 minus 2 is 2. So it's drones to add is 2, and the current drones are 2. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this is working. Right? And there we go. There's our 4. Okay? And in theory, if we do the third piece of research, we should get 6. Right? So we can disable that breakpoint, and when our message pops up, we shall have our 6. So let's watch for it. We'll have it over to the left, the right a bit. And is it doing the research? Yep, just about finished. There we go. And now we've got 6. So there you go. That is all working perfectly, and that was a bit too easy. Right, that was a bit too easy. We're not happy with that. I thought it was going to take a bit more than that. Right, but obviously not. But what we're going to have to do is change this widget, because this item here, I think it was this border, we changed it. We changed the border. And this should be showing. Don't know why that's not showing. Right, but we did change this. Or we did change one of the borders, right? And it's obviously not that one. Right, and it can't be that. Right. So I can only assume it's this one. Now what we had in here was we had like blue, I think. But that's the whole thing. Right, so it would have to have been this, but it can't be that. So it must be this. Right, what we'll do is we shall set that to that. We'll save it. And we shall say new game. Right. Then we'll go for a probes. Right, we'll set that up again. Getting rather bleeding good at this. He says not being able to do it. Okay. Right, so we'll set up a probe again, close that, and if this isn't bauxite, it is bauxite, that's kind of handy. Right. Okay, so we'll let that run, then we'll speed it up, and this should be better. Now I'm just wondering if Jameson's watching. because that's going to be, I was wanting to show them something. Right, that's going up nicely. We can wait till that's finished and then basically right, there's something to do. Right, so suddenly we can't do anything. Right, we're not going to worry about that for now. But this here isn't right. There's something about this image, right, that isn't right. Okay, now don't ask me what it is, but it's one of the borders that's knackering it up, but it can't be that one, and it can't be that one. Right, so the only one it can be is this. And the only thing I can think of is if this was like semi-transparent or something. Right? But even still, this should not be. Right, so that's Alfred. So that's fine. Just checking the alpha values here, because it's all rather weird. Right, I'll tell you what we'll do is we shall press play and continue. Oh, I didn't save it, darn it. Right, so we're gonna have to stop this. New game. Okay. Darn it, I had a 1. As I said, I'm going to have to reprogram this part to only allow for things. Oh, come on. This is all for just an image, by the way. That's how bloody pernickety I am. Just to check it. Right, we're only going to do this once. If it doesn't work, we'll worry about it later off stream or something, right? Because I don't want to muck around too much. Okay, so let's do our final test of this. And it appears to me that the sort of green thing isn't working. Right? You need to be sort of one step out from the green thing for it to actually place it. Right? Right. So we'll just do a mining. Okay, and we'll hope that that's, well, there you go, it's not. There we go. And then we shall just basically do these. Well, let's do it the hard way, shall we? Alright, so we've got this one now. It just had to be copper as well, didn't it? Yeah, I'm kind of not happy about the way this. Damn it! I'm not happy about the way this works anyway. I think I'm going to take away the grid, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fire. Going to let you fire a thing, right? And is that actually even going to spawn? I hope so. Right. Right, I'm actually going to probably just remove that grid entirely. Right, so we're waiting just to turn this around. Don't need to really, but... Right. That was pretty funny. Right. Right, so we've added our lots of people. I'll tell you what we'll do once we've stopped, right? We're going to make our testing a little bit easier. We did the mining one, didn't we? Right, so got a research. Right, that's going. Okay, so we got our research done. And we could see it slightly, but for some reason our image was kind of weird. Right, this was all kind of weird. Let's see if there's any weird stuff going on here. I don't see anything really weird going on here, so nah, nothing. Okay, well anyway. Right. Let me talk you through the plan. Okay, actually we'd be better starting the game for this. We can go new game, right, and we'll call it something else. Now, here's what I want to do, right? When they do a probe, but this is going to completely change, right? So when they do a probe, what it's going to do is you can click anywhere, right? This grid is going to go away. I'm not going to use this grid, right? Or sorry, I'm going to use the grid, okay? But I'm going to use it in a different way. Okay? So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to, let's say this square here, right? This square here, I'm going to spawn resources within that square. Okay? And then it's up to the player to build a miner. Okay? So let's try and do that. So what I'm going to do is, it's actually going to be from something that we did earlier, right? And it's going to be minerals, okay? So if we look in here, right, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the viewport, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a plane, and this is just going to be for reference, okay? And let's say it's going to be 5 by 5, but it's going to have to be way bigger than that, okay? So the easiest way to tell how big it's going to have to be is by looking at the grid and then looking at this, right? And then looking at this plane, and it says 5 by 5, right? So when we look at this plane, this is the size of a grid piece, okay? Now, the interesting thing that we're going to do with this is in our mineral, so we've got our 5 by 5, okay? So the actual interesting thing would be to bring this up and have a look at the actual size of it, because the issue is here that that doesn't look to be the same size as what it is in the game. So I don't know if I'm actually spawning it 2 times scale or something like that. Alright, but what we can do is we can have a look at this. Right? Now, going by what we've seen, the mineral should take up a whole square. Right? So if we look at this, and then when we see where it's spawned about, and you'll see that this grid is not the same size. Right? That grid is definitely not the same size as this grid here. So there must be some sort of how can I say it, scaling going on here, even though it doesn't say so. Right? So in effect, that's really weird, unless and it's not, right? There's no additional weird stuff going on. Unless when I spawn this, it changes size, right? So what we'll have to look at is in here, right? I think this is actually in the C++, but we're still going to have to fire it off here somewhere, right? So we'll check in here. And this is basically left click. Right, so it's none of them. And it's none of them. So it's actually going to be on our menu button. Right, our probe menu button. So in here, in our main menu button, I wish it would stop bringing that thing up now. Right, so here we go. All we need to do is look for probe. So here is our probe, this is it here, and we're not changing any scale. Right, because I thought that was changing scale. Right, okay, whatever. If we have to change the scale, we'll change the scale. Not a big deal, right? But theoretically, this is our scale. Right? Now, in our event graph, right? What we're going to do is we're going to get a random point on our plane, right? And the easiest way to work this one out is basically to move the plane, or actually to add another plane, right? And then move that plane until it's basically at the edge of the other plane. And then we can say safely that it's 500. Okay. So from the center point, it's 250 in all directions, right? So what we can say is it's 250, 250, 250, 250. Okay. So we can basically set up random numbers and then we can spawn stuff, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to spawn some rocks, okay? So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to add a variable, and we're going to say rocks, right? And then we're going to say instanced mesh, is it? Actually, I think what you've got to do is you've got to add the instance mesh here. Oh yeah, that would be right. Okay, so that's right. We're cool with that, right? So instance mesh component, right? Instance mesh component, right? And it's going to be an array. And we save that. And if we add one, then we should be able to select a static mesh. Okay. So we're not going to do that. We're going to change this to static mesh. Right, I think I know what I'm doing here. I think I've got the idea. Right, so we'll save that, and then we can select our rocks. Now we're going to do that when we come back. I'm just going to grab a cigarette. If you're enjoying the stream, hit the like and subscribe, and you can check out the description for other ways to support the channel and join the Discord. Okay, I shall be back in 2 minutes. See you then. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so we are back and let's get on with it. So the idea here is I'm going to spawn rocks of various shapes and sizes, and they're going to reflect which mineral has been discovered. Okay? So the idea here is basically when the drones come out, it doesn't automatically send a miner. Okay? What happens is that they're going to scan the area, and then if they find the mineral, it will pop up with that mineral right on the ground. Okay, so that's kind of the idea, right? So what we'll do in the short term is we're going to look at rocks, right? And we'll just pick some various rocks. We'll go with 3, right? So we're going to create these ourselves, right? The idea here is to create, not that. So let's say debris rock 1 rock, and we've got 4, so we may as well just go with the 4, right? I don't even know what these look like, so we're not going to worry about it, right? Now we want these to be instance meshes, right? So these can be sort of everywhere on the map, right? So if you carry on, let's say researching, right, or doing probes, then basically if you keep doing that, then all of these are going to be discovered, but we're going to be creating these objects, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say in the event graph on begin play, we're going to add well, it's going to be 250, right? It's going to be 250 either way. So we're going to have rock, that's not going to be that, right? We're going to say rock X, right? And I can't even remember what this is. Is it a point? We could do it as target point. No, we don't want that actually. This int point. And we don't want it as that either. I'm wondering if you can do like a float point. Right? What I'm thinking here is we should be able to split this into 2. Right, and it gives you rock X, right? So what we actually want is rock min, rock max. Right? But so we'll say rock min, right? But what we actually want is a float point. Right, we're gonna have to waste this on a vector on this. I'm guessing so. we'll just go for it with that, right? And then we'll just say duplicate that, and we'll say rock max, right? And then basically when we begin play, right, we're just going to do this at the start because some of this is going to go with the dynamic material and all that. That's because it's for the mineral model itself and the material for that model, so we're not actually going to use that, right? So rock min, we're going to set it, and rock max, we're going to set it as well. Now this is just to give us easy reference to a couple of variables that are going to give us what we want. So we're going to say get world location, right? And we're probably going to have to get a reference to self first, right? Right. So we're going to say get world location, actually, you know what we could do is you could just say actor location, right? And then what we can do is we can say add this is going to be here, right? So we say 250, right? And let's say we're going to split these, right? Because we only want the X and the Y to be this. Okay. And we want the Z to be, let's say, 5. And in here we want this to be like -5. Okay, and that is going to be a minus. And we're going to again say 250 because that's half the size. So that's going to give us to the edge. Right, so these are going to be set up once. Okay, so we'll just go like that for now. Then like that for now. And we'll join that back up for now. Okay, so this is going to give us our positions, our min-max positions for our rocks that we're going to randomly place. Now, I'm just wondering here, can we add a component by class? We can. We can set. Can we set the mesh? I mean, we should be able to set the mesh. Let's have a look. We're going to go for that. Yep, it is a static mesh component, right? And then we're going to drag this in. We're going to get this. Then we're going to say length. Then we're going to say -1. Right, and then off of here, we're going to say get a copy. Then we're going to drag that into there, so that's going to give us a random rock, and then we're going to basically place it there. Right, and then we might need this. But here's the amount, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say for loop right, and we're going to do this. And it's going to be this number here. Then we're going to divide it by 100. And then that is going to go in there. Right, so we're gradually building up our system to build our rocks. Right, our random rocks all over the place. Okay, and what we'll do is we shall add it as a function, and we'll say spawn rocks. Okay, then we'll go back to here and we shall cut that, and then we shall paste it. Okay, so this gives us our rocks, and we probably want to add a lot more randomness to this, right? So we're going to be random in the location, definitely, right? Okay, so we're basically going to be getting, we're going to be saying get, we'll not do anything with the scale yet, but we're going to say split that, drag it up. Then we're going to say split that. That's if we press the right thing. Okay. So we're going to get random float in range, and it's going to be the minimum and the maximum, and then that's going to go in there. And we just need to report that. But then we're going to do a duplicate, then we're going to get min y, max y, put that in there, then we're going to duplicate it once more, and we're going to do that and do that, and that goes in y. Then obviously we can do something, rotation, etc, etc, but in the meantime that should give us our random values with regards to our rocks. It's just location at the moment, but it's going to be scale, and then we'll do rotation as well. And then for each of the different types of rocks, we can actually just create materials for them with the different like markings on them for copper, for iron, for whatever, right? So the next thing we're going to do is, at the end of all this, right, we're basically, all of that's going to go, but we're going to spawn the rocks. Right? And we're going to save that, and then we're going to go to our static mesh, which is this thing here, and we're going to set it to invisible in the game for now. Now this might end up looking absolutely bonkers, but it's just a matter of getting it to work in the first place, right? So let's see what happens, shall we? And that's kind of weird. Right, so this plane is hidden in game. And has no collision. Right? So let's try that again. Come on, give me one. Right, so it didn't spawn anything. right? Didn't spawn a goddamn thing. And we want to have a look at mineral. Okay. Ah, darn, had a one there. Oh well. Had a one again. There it's there. Right. So that's created. And there's nothing there. Right? Now I'm just wondering here. We'll add a breakpoint there. And we'll see if it's actually doing anything. But yeah, we'd be better building that way out here to give us some time to see what's going on. Right. So that is doing something. Not 100% sure what it's doing, but it's doing something. Right, okay, we're going to stop that, and then what we're going to do is, do we have an amount? That's the question, do we have an amount yet, right? I'm guessing we don't have an amount, because we have this calculate here. Right, okay. So we're going to say calculate. Now this might muck everything up, right? But we're going to go for it, because this is going to set the amount. In fact, no, we don't need to do that, right? What we can do is we can just join this back up again, right? And we can just set this amount by default. right? It's going to use the default if I've not got anything, right? So what we can say is, let's say 90,000, right? Right, so we do that, and as I said, we're not going to have to muck about with all this once we get this sorted out. I mean, the grid thing is quite cool, but it doesn't really actually help us in any way, to be fair. Right. 90,000 divided by 100. So basically we should get 900 rocks in theory. Right, so we're going to have to take that breakpoint off. And we're going to have to take this breakpoint off. And then resume. And we got absolutely no... I'm just wondering if these are in the right place or not. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to add the breakpoint back in, right? Enable, and we're going to see where it actually spawns them, right? So what we'll say is resume, continue. Then when we do our spawn again, right? What's going to happen is we're going to see our mineral and we're going to see its position, right? So there it's there, right? And now we're going to see where this is. 936954. 9354, right? And -3. Now, we don't know what size these rocks are, so there's a possibility that the rocks are not in the right place, right? And we're picking one of them, so we're getting a rock, so that's fine. So what was that? 9354. Nine 252. Right, so that looks fine to me. Right, but you'll notice that it's not doing anything here. Right, so I'm not 100% sure if I'm getting this right or not. So we're going to do a quick Google check. Now, what I'm wondering is if actually this is, if we branch on this, right, and then we basically say print string, right? And we'll say mesh spawned. Now this shouldn't do this. We shouldn't get instance spawned, we should get nothing, right? If we're not spawning it correctly. Well, it says it's spawned. Okay. So what we've got to do that should allow us to do that. Right, okay, so what we might have to do here is say instance static mesh. Right. And then in here we set this. But we can only have one. Right. So this seems quite interesting. So we only get one. Okay, so we'll just add a rock here, right? Just to see what we get. Alright, we'll say big rock. right, and off here we say add instance. Right, and then we split this, and what we'll do is we'll move this over here, we'll move it up here, then we'll join that up there. Then I should have done this earlier, but we're gonna have to split this. Right, and then what we'll do is we'll do that, then that, and we're not going to do that anymore, and that should be us in theory. Now I've read in the documentation that even this isn't going to work, but we'll soon find out. Might need to do a bit of investigation offline on this one. But we'll soon find out. Come on, give me a 1. Okay. Nothing there. Right, so what it's kind of saying is this. So in theory, it should be that. This should be similar actually to what I'm doing on the, whatchamacallit, on the spliner or on the output object, right? Because the output objects are the same thing. Oh, that was a 1. Come on. Right, still not doing anything. Right. So I'll tell you what we'll do. Hi, try hard. Nice to see you back, mate. Right, so that ain't working. Right? That just ain't working. And the issue here is we need to check how we did this with the output object, right? Because that also creates instanced thingamabob. It does it slightly different, but we should get the idea, I think. And there we have the add instance. And then we have the add static meshed instance, right? So then we set the mesh, and then we add the instance. So we're doing it right. Okay. We are doing it properly. Add the instance static. Wait a minute. Right, let's have a look here for a second. Right, when we create this, we do nothing, which is fine. Right, so what we do is we delete that, and we delete that, and we delete that. Right, we're going to move this up alongside this. We're going to move this across a bit. This is going to go in here. Right. And then in here, we do that. And then we do that. And then we can drop, we can move this out of the way a bit. That's quite far away. Oh, so we'll delete that because we don't really need it for now. And this goes over here. And then we'll drag these down here. Okay. So in theory, that's right. Let's see. We set instance mesh. Do we use that again? Nope, we don't. So yeah. So we can probe Damn it. I had a 1 there. Right. Are we going to get some rocks this time? Apparently not. Right, there's no rocks there at all. I mean, the only thing I can think of, these are absolutely tiny rocks, right? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but that's our... Let's have one more look at this to see what... Right, we don't check. Right, everything else is fine. Okay. We shall copy that. Right, so that's weird. Alright. I didn't even do that. And let's see if that solves our problem. I knew it looked different. Which kinda... I had a 1. Damn. Gonna have to change this while we're offline so that this actually works a bit better. Apparently we don't get any rocks. Right. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to basically break these. And if this works, we should get a gazillion rocks in the same bloody place, right? So you're only going to actually see one. Right, but at least it should show us a rock in the middle of this thing. Now, is that a rock? That actually might be a rock. But it hasn't got give me a second here. Right, let's do that and let's do that. And let's leave that, because I think this might be wrong. We shouldn't be doing a minus. We should just be doing a plus something. Or at the minimum, like, I don't know, 1 or something, right? But we're going to set it to 0, right? Now, our problem here is our rocks the material you see how it's no material at all, right? So we're gonna have to change our rocks, right? Because the rocks are crap, right? Rocks are crap. So debris rock rubbish. Right, I'll tell you what, we'll go to environmental set. And we'll go to rocks, models, right? And we'll just basically grab 4. Right, so we'll just basically grab that one, grab that one, grab that one, and grab that one. Okay, now what we're going to have to do is check the materials are instanced. Right, so I'm going to guess. Right, I've got M rocks. So this might be okay. If this is set to instance, we're good. And it's set to instance, so that's okay. Right, now we should start getting some bleeding rocks. I'm going to say probe. There we go. And we've got no rocks again. Okay, so that's weird. Mineral. So the only thing I can think of is this. Alright. If we're getting some kind of relative location or something. Right, so we'll say continue. Right. Now you should see them exactly there. Yeah, there's the rock there, right? Right, so what we'd have to do here
is get the location. Right? Then split that, right? And then what we'll just do is we'll plug in the Y, right? And on the X, we'll add right, and we'll get a random floating range between minus 250 and 250. Okay. Then we'll plug that in there and try that. See if this relative position is kind of the thing that's screwing us up here. It's a weird one, but there they go. They're not there anymore. Alright. And so from here, can we get the transform? We can get the world location. Right? So that would insinuate that we're doing that. Interesting. Interesting indeed. I just want this to work. I thought this would be no problem, but as with everything else, it's a problem. I need to fix that as well. You see that? They're not anywhere. But I'm just thinking, are they? Are they somewhere? And I just can't see them. Are they getting spawned somewhere else? Yeah, they're there. Right, okay. Okay. I think I know what the issue here is. We need to get transform. Right, so we're going to say self transform split that struct and then put that in there. Right, let's hope this does us a bit better. Okay, I wonder what's going to happen. Absolutely nothing. Is it still down here to the right or somewhere? That's the edge of the map. Right, so that is our so the question is, where are those rocks? Right, but we do know that we can find them. Right. And on that, we're going to finish there for the afternoon. If you've enjoyed the stream, hit the subscribe and like button. And you can also check out the description for my Discord, which you're welcome to join, and ways to support the channel, including adding my previous game to your Steam wishlist, or joining the Patreon, or indeed buying the game. So thanks for joining. I shall catch you at 8 PM Central tonight. Bye bye for now.